The Board of Equalization and Review meeting on this Monday at 9:30. Thank each one of you being here. I'm going to remind my colleagues and other folks who's talking, please talk into the mics. If you're speaking, make sure you have your mic on. And of course, if you're not speaking, feel free to turn it off. But we do need to have your mics turned on when you're speaking. When people are listening to us on live stream and watching us, sometimes they have a difficult time hearing us if we don't have the mics on. We have two very lengthy agendas, and I want everyone to be mindful of that as they present. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move to the conflict of interest. In accordance with the Halifax County Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure, in the North Carolina General Statute, Section 153A-44, is the duty of every member present to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with regards to matters coming before the board of E&R today? Ms. Johnson?
No conflict.
No conflict.
No conflict?
No conflict.
No conflict, sir.
Madam Clerk, let the record so reflect that the 5 E&R members present do not have any conflict with matters coming before us today. I'm not sure where Mr. Webb is, but I just want to make a note of that. You know, he should be maybe walking in shortly. But we did have a quorum. Okay, next item is the Board of Equalization and Review Appeals presentation. We'll hear from the Halifax County Tax Assessor, Mr. Shane Lynch. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir.
I don't have any appellants here today or any quasi-judicial hearings, but what I have brought before you are about 54 parcels that were appealed. They feel that their evaluation value, and appraisal staff and myself were able to negotiate with them, do property reviews, and get the appellants to agree to a free-farm value. And after speaking with management team, legal, I just compiled a list of those parcels for this board, and a copy of each consent decision signed by myself and the appellant. And I'm asking this board this morning to approve, make a motion to approve all of the proposed changes in value.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lynch. You've heard the recommendation coming from our tax assessor. What is your pleasure?
Move that we approve the change of values as recommended by Mr. Lynch.
Motion by Ms. Johnson, second by Ms. Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
All right, thank you. So I also ask the board to now adjourn from taking appeals for the 2024 tax year. We do still have some outstanding appeals, but this board can reconvene at another time to oversee that.
Okay, all right. With that being said, I do want to recognize Mr. Webb walking around. He's coming in. Good morning, Mr. Webb. We're in the E&R meeting. Okay. Can we go ahead and set a date as far as that, you know, to hear those? And because I know the E&R board should have their calendars with them, as, you know, the county manager had asked them to bring your calendars. So we can go ahead and set that date. Can you give us those 3 dates again that we had looked at? Because I can't recall what they are right offhand.
I believe it was May 30th, June 4th, and 5th.
It was May 29th, June 5th, and June 6th.
Okay,
And those could be at any time of the day that works for everyone.
right. So May 29th, June 5th, and June 6th. Just for the sake of discussion, I'll just throw a date out there, June 5th at 9:30. And if that doesn't work, you know, I'm just putting it out for discussion. If that doesn't work, let's look at some of those other dates. Everyone okay with June 5th at 9:30?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
It's good.
Okay. All right, so let's go with Mr. Webb. You okay with that? Okay. All right, and I know Ms. Brewer and Ms. Johnson, I saw them shaking their head. Okay, so let's get a motion for, we need a motion for to do that, have that on June 5th at 9:30, is that right?
So it'll be in the minutes, I want to.
Okay,
You don't have to advertise that.
okay, thank you, Mr. Lynch. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Brewer, second by Ms. Davis, and further discussion. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Okay, so we're going to have the ENR meeting on June the 5th at 9:30. Right?
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. At this time, I guess we do need a motion, Mr. Attorney, to adjourn.
I think you do need that motion to adjourn the Board of ENR with respect to appeals, Mr. Lynch, correct? I don't think that motion was made.
They didn't do that motion yet.
Okay. All right, need that motion as well.
We need a motion to adjourn the board for taking appeals to the text.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Davis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it, ENR committee members, for bringing your calendars and following in line what we needed to do. Okay, next thing is, since we have adjourned, we're going to move into, and I will officially call the meeting to order of the Halifax County Board of Commissioners. Again, Mr. Webb, you were not here when I said this, but when you speak, and make sure that you have your mic turned on, because they've had some trouble, hearing us on live stream. And then when you're not talking, certainly you can turn it off. Okay. All right. At this time, we're going to be led by the invocation by Commissioner Johnson. Then we do the Pledge of Allegiance in unison. Those of you who wish to join us, please stand.
Let us pray. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. First of all, Lord, we want to thank you for your presence in our lives. We want to thank you, Lord, for the power of prayer. Thank you for grace, and we thank you for mercy. We pray for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We pray for this county. We pray for this state. And we pray for this nation. We pray for this assembly and for this board and our staff. We know, Lord, that we trust in you with all our heart. We lean not to our own understanding. We acknowledge you, and we ask you to direct our path. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, the way Miss Johnson prayed that time, I didn't know if the Lord was telling us something.
Thank you, Lord.
I trust that the commissioners have had an opportunity to review the agenda. I would entertain a motion for the adoption of the agenda, if that's your pleasure.
Move for approval of agenda.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, conflict of interest. In accordance with the Halifax County Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure and the North Carolina General Statute, Section 153A-44, it is the duty of every member present to vote on all matters coming before the board unless there is a conflict of interest as determined by the board or by law. Does any board member have a known conflict of interest with respect to matters coming before us today? Commissioner Smith?
No conflict, sir.
No conflict.
No conflict?
No conflict.
Madam Clerk, let the record so reflect that the 6 commissioners present do not have any conflict with matters coming before us today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next item is consent agenda. Item A deals with the approval of minutes. Item B is budget amendments. Item C is property tax collection refunds and releases, April 2024. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? If not, I'll so entertain the motion for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, hearing no questions or discussions, I move that the consent agenda be adopted.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. All right, next item, we get into the real good stuff now. Special recognitions. Item 2, special recognitions. Item A, congressional record honoring Halifax resolves. We have I was getting ready to say the Honorable Kimberly Mack. We have Kimberly Mack, who is District Director for the office of our illustrious Congressman Don Davis. I would ask her to come forward. Also, I want to recognize and members of the semi-quincentennial members. I hope I said that correctly. Anyway, 250 is what I call it. I want to ask, is Carl Burke here? Okay, Carl, come up, please. Dr. Florine Bell, Mr. Ken Wilson, Mr. Larry Perkins, who did an incredible job of putting that thing together for that event at the Well and Mills. Thank you, sir. Al Richardson, Ms. Jackie Ruffin, and Stephen Green. Did I leave anyone out? Okay, all right, y'all just kind of huddle around Kim Mack there and now, did I miss it? Dr. Cradle. Okay, sorry I missed your name. How in the world I miss you? Okay. Okay, all right, we're good.
Good morning, Halifax County Board of Commissioners.
Good morning.
It is always a pleasure to be in Halifax. And this morning, I'm delighted to be here with you to share Congressman Don Davis's recognition of the Halifax Resolve from the House floor on Tuesday, April the 16th. As you all were aware, Congressman Davis participated in many of the celebration activities kicking off the 250th celebration. And so, even to my surprise, we got a floor speech out of him as well, because a flag was flown in honor of the 250th kickoff celebrations, as well as a lengthy extension of remarks detailing the history of Halifax Resolve. And then when he went back to work on Monday, he did a floor speech. So at this time, I would like to read the congressional record for you, which is Congressman Davis's remarks from the floor. Congressional Record, Proceedings and Debates of the 118th Congress, Second Section, Volume 170, Washington, Tuesday, April the 16th, number 66. House of Representatives, in recognition of the 248th anniversary of the Halifax Resolve. Mr. Davis of North Carolina. Madam Speaker, I rise today to acknowledge a pivotal chapter in our great nation's history, a moment that forever altered the course of our destiny. It was 248 years ago that the seeds of liberty were sown into Halifax, North Carolina. On April 12, 1776, a group of visionary delegates took a stand that would define the character and direction of a country yet to be born. The Halifax Resolves were not simply words on paper. They were a proclamation and a declaration of a dream for freedom that was bigger than themselves and bigger than any one of us. That dream became North Carolina's loud call for American independence. The Halifax Resolves were born from a year of passionate debate, from a people united not by what they could see, but what they could imagine. A people who believed that a just world was possible. We gathered over the weekend to commemorate the 248th anniversary of this momentous occasion, not only to reflect reflect on the bravery and wisdom of our predecessors, but to recommit ourselves to a timeless principles embodied in the Halifax Resolve. Madam Speaker, I stand on the shoulders of giants, and we must always remember that it is through the courage of those who came before us that we enjoy the freedoms that we hold so dear today. A story of courage, a story of hope, a story that tells us that the path to freedom and independence may be long, but it is well worth it in the end. Happy anniversary to Halifax Resolve. May the legacy of freedom and bravery and independence continue to inspire us for generations to come. Donald G. Davis, Member of Congress.
Now, Ms. Kim, I'd like for you and the group, just as you are, to just kind of walk up to me and then turn around to the audience so Christina and others can take pictures. And we'll take that at the end, okay? And we'll get out the way, y'all. Let's move out the way. I also want you to kind of center this seal, okay? Anyone who want to take pictures, feel free to do so. We're only going to do this for a couple of minutes.
All right, y'all gotta totally do the pageant turn. Other way, okay? Very nice, y'all did so well. All righty. Okay, look here, and then if you'll look at Kathy, that's beautiful. Okay, look here. And then one more. That looks great. 1, 2, 3. All right. Can we get going? Yes.
We were looking at you because of
Well, I've already done yours.
Okay.
But I'll take another one, y'all will look in just a minute. Here you go. Thank you. You got about 10.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Miss Matt, did you get my text?
We do want to thank Congressman Don Davis and his district director, Kim Mack, for that presentation. Just for the record, Congressman Davis was at the event at Welland Mills, and he did speak on that occasion. So, you know, him and as well as Ms. Mack spends a lot of time. You can't hear me?
I hear you better now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mills. Thank you. You're exactly right. You couldn't hear me. Had the mic too far away. But anyway, Congressman Davis spends a lot of time in this district. He was at the Welland Mills Theater when we had the celebration of the 248th, which is going into the 250th. And certainly we do thank him for all his hard work for Halifax County. And okay, with that being said, we're going to move to the next item. Another great something coming next. Item B, 2024 Governor's Awards for Volunteer Service. We'll hear from our hard-working Deputy County Manager, Christina Wells. Good morning.
Good morning. This is taller. More people need a stool.
Well, I'm sure Ms. Denton will put a stool in the budget.
So I am very pleased to come in front of the board today for, I believe, the 4th year in a row that I've had the opportunity to serve as Halifax County's Governor's Volunteer Awards Coordinator. And every year we have amazing people come before us, amazing citizens who do fantastic work in our communities, not asking for any reward other than the glory that it feels to them to give back. And we have 3 such wonderful winners this year. So what I plan to do is read a synopsis of what their volunteer award statement read. And I'd like to go ahead and read all 3 and then call them up so that we can again present them with a certificate that came from the governor's office, as well as a beautiful pin from the governor's office denoting them as the governor's volunteer award winner. And of course, we also have a Halifax County pin because we have to claim them as our own. We don't want to be second best, but also it denotes them as a Halifax County volunteer. So I'm going to read. We might pause for a little smattering of applause after each one because they will know who they are as soon as I'm reading. And then we'll gather for a quick photo if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
So, our 2024 Governor's Volunteer Service Award winners. Dr. Stephanie Cradle. Dr. Stephanie Cradle is CEO of Chrysalis Enterprises and Transforming Lives and Restoring Hope Incorporated. An author, mentor, trainer, and coach. Dr. Cradle has returned to Halifax County after retiring from government service with her goal of making a difference in the county. Dr. Cradle is currently a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John C. Maxwell team and the recipient of the 2016 NAACP Roy C. Wilkins Renowned Service Award. She is the author of 7 books. She is quoted as saying, "There are 2 things I've always been able to do, bring people together and inspire people to grow. For as long as I can remember, I've been a bridge builder, barrier breaker, enlightenment seeker, and change agent." Dr. Cradle is determined to highlight the need for inclusivity and understanding throughout Halifax County in the hopes of altering the mindset of communities and citizens. Through her outreach, coaching, mentoring, and writing, Dr. Cradle helps others overcome what may seem to be insurmountable odds. Her goal is that all citizens benefit from her work in unconscious bias, conflict resolution, workplace diversity, and leadership development to propel themselves to a better purpose and position in life and to cause a transformation throughout the county. She currently serves as the chair of the Halifax County Human Relations Committee and as a member of the Halifax County Semi-Consensus Thank you. Another fantastic volunteer.
Absolutely. She does a lot of work for Halifax County.
Pat Peet. Pat Hill has been an integral volunteer for our Halifax County 4-H program for many years and continues to be an advocate and volunteer for 4-H youth development programs throughout our county. She has always encouraged others to take advantage of the numerous opportunities 4-H offers and has consistently gone out of her way to ensure all youth are fairly served. Pat has a unique ability to raise awareness on behalf of the youth, pushing back against community-wide perspectives of 4-H being only for well-informed farm families. Several years ago, through collaborative leadership initiatives, Pat recruited the volunteers needed to charter a new 4-H club. She enlisted the aid of her son, Jared Beal, a well-decorated 4-H alumni and National 4-H Honor Club member, to work with Halifax County Cooperative Extension to identify a historically underserved area to establish the club, secure a meeting location, and recruit youth. Pat's vision was to establish a safe environment for youth, especially teenagers, to gather, have fun building connections, and learn by engaging with 4-H programs that are often regarded as the best-kept secret of our county. Pat has provided leadership, care, and support to youth and their guardians from the club's beginning, through a global pandemic, and during a time of deepest sorrow when she unexpectedly lost her son, Jared. However, she continued to persevere, as she knew her son would want her to do. Her resiliency has not gone unnoticed by youth in her talented teens 4-H club, as the members consistently followed her example of strength and dedication to earn top placings in local, district, state, and national competition areas. Their club meetings, coordinated by Pat, tout dynamic local and regional industry professionals who teach the youth essential life skills. Thank you, Ms. Pat.
You know, Pat Peel is another Halifax hero, and I think the greatest hero is her son, the late Jared Peel. And anyway, Pat, thank you for all that you do for Halifax County.
We have one more, and then I'd like all three of the winners to come up if they have anyone with them who would also like to come up and be in photos. We'd like to do just what Kim and her group did, and we'll gather and take a photo together. Okay, so our last award winner, I'm very excited to recognize Kim Reynolds. Ken Reynolds is an invaluable volunteer for Halifax County Cooperative Extension, serving as Vice Chair of the Halifax Extension Advisory Leadership Council, where he readily provides the team with guidance and direction to ensure our citizens' needs are being recognized and met. He is also an advocate for extension educational programs across the county and is often heard on the local radio station encouraging people to participate in our offerings. As chair of the local Beekeepers Association, Ken coordinates educational programs and beekeeping schools with the horticulture agent to promote proper beekeeping practices. He continually strives to educate our community on the role bees have in our food system and their importance to creating a sustainable environment. Ken readily gives up his time to provide educational beekeeping activities to our youth through our 4-H programs, which is greatly appreciated in our historically underserved areas. He gives a week of his time each year to participate in 4-H summer day camps to facilitate experiences youth may not otherwise have. He volunteers in area schools to share his passion for beekeeping and coordinates the Halifax Northampton Beekeepers Association to share beekeeping and environmental sustainability with more than 2,500 community members each year at the annual Halifax Harvest Days event. Thank you.
You know, I would just like to say also there's another, Mr. Reynolds. I mean, he's a workaholic. He does a lot for 4-H, and he think folks don't notice, but people notice what you do. And thank you, sir, for all that you do for the county as well. Yeah.
Yes, we stand.
Yeah, let's get out of the way.
Have y'all in the picture?
You want us in the picture?
Sure. It's Halifax County after all. So I'm going to give you your plaques to hold, and then your pens will be inside your bag. For her.
Let y'all get by. Don't want to knock nobody down. Well, let me get up there.
Beth, are you coming up? Yeah. Ken, here you go. All right. We got multiple devices. Go ahead and look this way. Everybody in the center can get you, and then I'll get over there. Good. Okay. All right. Y'all stay in position one more time. I'm sorry. I gotta have this one for the newsletter and the newspaper. Okay. Got two, so y'all be patient with me. Oh, that looks so good. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. All right. Whoop. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Y'all are professional photos. I tell you. Thank y'all so much. Congratulations, everybody. Proud of y'all. Congratulations. I reveal all the secrets.
Okay, again, let's give them a big hand. You know, there are many folks in the audience who could very well be recognized for this award. A lot of folks who have worked hard in this county, and, you know, we do appreciate all that our volunteers do, and trust me, it doesn't go unrecognized. Thank you again, and congratulations to the recipients for this year. Okay, I'll clerk to the board.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to see the proclamation for the North Carolina clerks to the Board of County Commissioners. There are many clerks out there who work very, very hard in the state of North Carolina to support their boards in every effort that they can. So I'm proud to stand here to represent that organization. Whereas it is imperative to the democratic process that a local citizenry participates in the operation of their local government. And whereas the office of the clerk to the board provides the communication link between the citizens, the local governing body, administrative departments, and local government partners. And whereas the clerk to the board is one of the oldest in local government, dating back to biblical times, transcribing on scrolls. Hence, the modern day clerk are the official record keepers for their counties. And whereas North Carolina laws require every board of county commissioners to appoint a clerk, and the clerk continues in that position at the pleasure of the board. And whereas the clerk's most significant statutory duties concern the preparation, filing, and safeguarding of local government official records and designated keeper of the county seal. These statutory duties constitute only a portion of what the clerk actually does, which includes transcribing and certifying minutes, attesting official documents, preparing agendas, public hearings, public notices, drafting resolutions, proclamations, celebratory letters, boards and commissions, and the governing body budget and capital requests, along with all other duties as whereas the clerk plays a vital role in county government and provides the written record needed to ensure that the board is accountable to the county citizens and to other public and private officials. The clerk's role as a professional is passionate provider of the public information to citizens, government officials, and the media is paramount. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize the week of May 5th, 2024 through May 11th, 2024 as North Carolina Clerks to the Board of County Commissioners Week, about the 6th day of May.
Okay, all right, you've heard the information coming from our clerk. My colleagues, what is your pleasure?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? You know, you mentioned the fact that hard-working clerks. I doubt that there's another clerk in the whole state that works any harder than you.
It's all right.
And we appreciate all that you do for Halifax County. Thank you so much. I don't know what's wrong with my throat this morning. I think my allergies are getting me. That's why I wear that mask when I'm outside, even walking my little dog. But anyway, you just have to excuse me. Okay, next matter, item D, 2024 EMS Week Proclamation. We hear from Emergency Services Director James P. Allen III. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I apologize, my allergies are acting up.
We have that in common, Mr. Allen.
First, thank you for letting me appear before you this morning.
Yes, sir.
This is our proclamation in honor of EMS Week, honoring our past, forging our future. Whereas emergency medical service is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other hospital and medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services provided by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore it be proclaimed that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2024, as Emergency Medical Services Week, with the 50th anniversary theme, EMS Week, honoring our past, forging our future, and encourages the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Proclaim this 6th day of May, 2024.
Okay, you've heard the information coming from our EMS director. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. New EMS director. You still kind of new at the job a little bit, but you've been around a while, Mr. Allen. Thank you for all that you do in your leadership in that role. And even before Phil left, you know, I was privy to learn from Tony and Dale, you know, all the hard work that you put in helping Phil and the organization, you know, move forward. Do want to thank you and thank you folks for all the work that they do. I think where it says vital public service should be underscored. That's tremendous because they do provide a vital public service to our community. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir. And let me just say, it wouldn't be possible without this team of people who sit back here and support us.
And I think we need to stand up and thank them. Okay. Well, before I call up item E, I do want to recognize Welland City Schools' new superintendent, Dr. Shotwell. Please raise your hand, sir. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Dr. Shotwell, and looking forward to your leadership in the Welland City School District. Also, I want to recognize Mr. James Mills, who's a member of Halifax County School Board. Mr. Mills, we all know, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mills. Appreciate you, Mr. Mills. Anyone else that overlooked elected official?
Superintendent.
All right, we also have Ms. Thompson, Julie Thompson, the Roanoke Rapids Graded School District Superintendent. Thank you for being here. Let's give her a hand. Okay. Now, we're going to move to item E, 2024 Older Americans Month Proclamation. We'll hear from Ms. Hazel Blunt, Human Relations Committee member. Ms. Blunt? She's a hard-working lady, too. Church and all. Good morning.
It's my honor to present the proclamation for Older Americans Month, and I am a member. Okay. Whereas the month of May is designated Older Americans Month and is a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of older Americans in helping build a more perfect union, and whereas Halifax County recognizes the contributions of the time and wisdom of older Americans and to make our community stronger, more informed, and better connected, and whereas the 2024 national theme for the observance of Older Americans Month is Powered by Connection, which recognizes the profound impact that meaningful relationships and social connections have on our health and well-being. And whereas Halifax County acknowledges the importance of taking part in activities that promote physical, mental, and emotional well-being no matter your age. And whereas Halifax County expresses appreciation for past and continuing contributions to the community by our older citizens and recognizes that older adults are a vital and growing part of our county. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners hereby recognize and celebrate Older Americans Month, encouraging residents to reflect upon and appreciate the significant contributions that have been made by this important segment of our population. Halifax County commends our older adults for their invaluable contributions and encourage everyone to celebrate our older adults, helps create a more inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging, adopted this 6th day of May, 2024.
Okay, you've heard the information coming from Ms. Blunt. What is your pleasure?
Move for adoption.
All right, motion by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. I finally got a month, old adult month. Okay. Ms.
Mr.
Blunt, yes, sir.
Chairman, if I might, I would like to extend to all of you an invitation to come down and join with us in Scotland Neck on May 22nd, which we will be celebrating All American Month at the Hattie Statens Senior Center there in Scotland Neck. So please feel free to come and join us. I believe it's from 9 until 1, I believe. And I'm one of the older Americans, so I'm not 100% sure. But I think I'm right.
Okay. Thank you for that, Commissioner Smith. All right. I think you're still before us, Ms. Blunt. 2024 Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation. Okay.
Proclamation honoring Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, whereas May is nationally recognized as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and is a time to recognize and celebrate the contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to the American story. And whereas Halifax County recognizes the innumerable contributions, vibrant culture, and rich heritage of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and whereas the 2024 national theme for the observance of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is Advancing Leaders Through Innovation, and whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders comprise many ethnicities and languages, and their many achievements embody the American experience. By recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of American, Asian, and Pacific Islander men and women, we celebrate the importance of inclusion to building a brighter future. And whereas Halifax County is proud to honor the history, contributions, and achievements of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in our communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Halifax County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes and celebrates Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, encouraging residents to reflect upon and appreciate the significant contributions that have been made by these members of our community. We commend Asian American and Pacific Islanders of Halifax County for their invaluable contributions and encourage everyone to continue supporting inclusion in their pursuit of equality, opportunity, and success. Adopted the 6th day of May, 2024.
Okay, you've heard from Ms. Blunt. What is your pleasure?
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, very appropriate, Ms. Cradle, Ms. Blunt, the committee, for doing this, because we have to realize that our community is a diverse community, very diverse in a lot of ways. And thank you, Dr. Cradle, and your group for doing this, and thank you, Ms. Blunt, for the presentation. Okay. All right, next item, I don't think we're going to have a next item, public comment that haven't. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to move to item 4. We're going to hear from item A, Halifax County ABC Board compensation request. We're going to hear from Mr. Shields, who is the chairperson of that board. And also, I know one of his sidekicks, one of his board members, Mr. Randy Lee, is here as well. And I don't know if you have anyone else here, but good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Robert Shields, chairman of the Halifax County ABC Board. I do have Mr. Lee here with me this morning. Other members had other obligations and could not make it. It is truly a pleasure to be here to speak to you. It has been approximately 10 years since the board has had any increase in per diem. And if you have been looking at our monthly report, you can see the different increases that has occurred city and county. And at this time, we would like to come to the board and ask for an increase. For the chair of the board per month, we would like to increase it to $225. And for the rest of the board members, per diem would be $175. We believe that for the progress that we have shown over the years, the board is well deserved of this minor increase. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
We had a discussion earlier on. I can't remember you ever coming before the board to ask for compensation before. Has that?
Yes, ma'am, we've been here. If I'm not mistaken, the last time we were here, Douglas Hall was commissioner.
Oh, yeah, that's why I don't remember. Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
That's probably more than 10 years then.
Yeah, that's been a long time. I couldn't remember.
Because I've been a commissioner 15, and I didn't serve with Commissioner Hall. Yep. And
my
Ms. Johnson
husband's-
is longer than that.
My husband served with Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, my
I
brother did too.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are your, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
What are some of your duties that you, because I'm not familiar with the board and how it works.
The Halifax County ABC Board operates the ABC stores throughout the county.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are actually controlled by the commission, ABC Commission out of Raleigh. We run the different stores within the different townships, and we provide a control system and making sure that alcohol is legally sold to the community.
Ms. Davis, Mr. Shields is exactly right, and to add a footnote to that, they're like the governing body for alcohol sales in the county. And, they have a CEO who serves under them, and then they have a board member of about 5. They had 3 board members, and this board, Ms. Johnson, you can remember this, and Ms. Brewer too, that we extended the that from 3 to 5 several years ago. And I have talked with the chair of the board several times and other members, and they think that was a real good idea when we extended it from 3 to 5, because you had more input and you had more representation from all parts of the county. Now, to some people who drink, some people who don't drink, let me tell you something. There's some drinking folks in Halifax County, 'cause we drink. Mr. Shields can tell you, they make a lot of money, and they put money back, into the schools and into, Halifax County as well, a portion of that. So anyway, I just want to make that as a footnote, because some of the commissioners probably did not know that.
And Ms. Davis, if you would like to come and visit our office here in Halifax, or talk to me personally concerning what we do, I would be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Again, the financial report that we provide monthly give you an insight of our distribution for the cities, We also do ALE reporting, we do law enforcement and education. And of course, as Mr. Brown alluded to, we give the county a portion of our income profits also.
Okay, any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? Good discussion. He brought back memories with Commissioner John Hall, didn't he?
We did.
Okay. All right. He's before us, anyway, County Manager, that we've been talking about this, and, but he's before us for consideration for compensation increase request of the Halifax County ABC Board. Did you have anything you want to add, Ms. Denton?
The only thing I would add is that in your agenda materials, you'll just see that the appointing authority, which is you all, just has to approve these changes. So I included that for your information.
Okay, all right. What is your pleasure in regards to the ABC Board request?
I move that we approve the Halifax County ABC Board compensation request.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Webb, second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you so much, Mr. Shields, and thank you, Mr. Lee, for being here as well. And let your board know that we appreciate all that they do, and just, I know, there's pros and cons when it comes to that, but you all just doing your job as the governing board. And thank you so much.
And thank you, sir. And again, I'd like to thank you all for the support that you give us. We act independently, but you are in control of us. And we appreciate how you allow us to do our job. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you, Mr. Shields.
Okay.
Good to see you.
We'll be taking a break in a little bit, if you all okay. We're going to move to item B on the agenda, which is the fiscal year 24-25 David Fire Taxing District rate request. Mr. Mike Clemens, David Volunteer Fire Department, we'll hear from you at this time. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I would like to apologize first and foremost for our absence at our last meeting. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come and present today. We had a miscommunication, but we're here today, and I appreciate that. Again, my name is Mike Clemens. I am the newly elected chief of the Davie Community Volunteer Fire Department. We lost our chief, David Paget, February 1st of this year, kind of suddenly, so we had to scramble around holding an election, and I was the lucky guy. Okay, so what I'm here today to do is present to you, I'm here to ask that we keep our current tax rate in place, which would create an increase in our tax revenue of approximately $50,000, reflecting the recent tax regulation. I've provided each of you with a packet, so I don't have to read all this in 3 minutes. It's a short amount of time. If you know me, I could chew up 3 minutes easily. So there's shaded areas on that cover letter that I'll direct your eyes to, if you will. The primary reason, one of our main reasons for keeping our current tax rate is we are still making payments on our station. You have the figure in front of you. So we haven't quite paid that building off yet. We have payments to make, so we would like to hold on our current tax rate in order to be able to compensate. Also, there's some figures there that talk about our workers' comp insurance, our vehicle insurance, and our building and ground insurance. The next issue that you'll see highlighted is staffing. We, just like several other departments in Halifax County, have had to put on part-time staff in order to answer calls during the daytime. The volunteer fire world is just like anything else. It's getting harder and harder to find people who have the time to commit to their community. So we have instituted a part-time firefighter program. We did that back in 2021. Program is going well, and we would like to be able to continue to do that, to be able to answer the calls to our community and people who visit the Davie community. The next item on the list, and it's the most important item I think that we currently have, we are in the process, or we have actually placed an order with Fire Connections Incorporated out of Rocky Mountain with a new pumper tanker. I've included some dates of the year models of our aging fleet, and if you read through that, you'll see that we are in need of replacing a truck by the current NFPA standards, their recommendations on truck replacement. We were fortunate. Representative Ray was able to get us $500,000 to go towards our new apparatus, but with the cost increase in fire apparatus these days, that still left us the need to write a check for another $295,000. Fire trucks are very expensive these days. The average price being about $1.2 million for an engine or pumper. So when we spec'd that truck, we didn't buy a Cadillac, obviously with the pricing, but we got what the community needs so we can continue to serve the community. So in order to do that, we have to have apparatus that are able and capable to respond. Davie Community currently enjoys a number 4 ISO rating, and with that new apparatus, we'll be able to continue to provide that for our citizens and allow them to enjoy the insurance rates that they currently visit. So with that being said, those are our main highlighted points. I would be glad to entertain any questions you may have at this time. And if you do not, I do appreciate again your giving us the opportunity to come and see you.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. We appreciate you. Okay, at this time, we're going to move to item C, and we're going to take a break in a little bit, y'all, which is the 24-25 tax and district rate discussion. Ms. Wells.
Glasses.
Okay.
Oh, wait, they're on my head. They were on the table. Can't do this without my glasses. It'll be 50 in August, y'all. Stay.
Yeah, y'all can stay. You can stay. Y'all can stay if you want to.
Big numbers.
So as you saw attached to your agenda item when Chief Clements was speaking was just the spreadsheet that we had last time for all the taxing districts, which stated simply what their current rate was, what their revenue neutral rate was, and what change they were requesting, and about what 1 cent of tax would generate. So you saw that last time, on April 15th. I reattached it, just to be consistent. Now what I included, thank you, Doris, Holton. What I included with this item to fully discuss and explore more in depth of each of the taxing districts' requests is a new chart. And let me just not read every number, but let me just explain what you're seeing. So you'll see at the top are 2 school districts who requested to maintain their current rate. You will see their tax base number, so that's their tax valuation for 2024, okay? You will see their tax rate as it was for 23, and the tax levy that produced for 2023. You will see their revenue neutral rate for 2024, and what the revenue neutral tax levy would produce. And if you'll notice, between the tax levy of 23 and technically the revenue neutral of 24, there's still a little bit of an increase. Doris and her staff, try to err on the side of caution to make sure that each taxing district will receive the same, or very as close as possible, amount of revenue with revenue neutral. You will see in the next column their requested tax rate, which for our 2 school districts, they just want to maintain their current rates of 10 cents and 20 cents on the 100 respectively. And then you will see what their requested levy, if you maintain their current tax rate, the amount of money that would produce. And then the last column, very helpful, that lets you know if they are allowed to maintain their current rate, what that levy difference will produce for that taxing district. Is that clear as mud for everybody? Any questions on that so far? Okay. So the same calculations apply for the 6 fire taxing districts who also requested a change in their rate, either to maintain their current rate or to increase their rate. So you'll see Darlington, Davie, Littleton, Raysville, Scotland Neck, and Weldon. Same numbers apply. You'll see their revenue neutral tax rate compared to their tax rate for 2023. You'll see what their revenue neutral tax rate would produce. Importantly, you'll see their requested tax rate for 2024, and just to refer back to this sheet, you'll see that 3 requested to maintain their current rates. That was Davie, Raysville, and Scotland Neck. And you'll see that 3 districts requested to increase over and above their current rate. That was Darlington at a slight increase, Littleton, and Will. Okay? So again, you'll see what their requested tax rate would be, the amount that the levy of revenue the levy would generate, and what the difference would be for that taxing district. Okay? So do you have any questions for me at this time?
Any-
Otherwise, the numbers pretty much speak for themselves in addition to the presentations that we'll make.
Right. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? I'm just going to come out of the gate myself. Personally, I don't have any problems with, this is just Vernon now. I don't have any problem with the numbers remaining the same or towns implementing the revenue neutral. The only 3 that I have a little heartburn about are the 3 increases that are being recommended, which is Darlington, what is the other one? Is it Littleton and Weldon? Now that's just me speaking, y'all, just to kind of generate discussion. I'm okay with everything else, but I'm just not in favor of them receiving increases. I would like for the 3 that receive increases stay at their current rate. But anyway, it's open for discussion, and whatever decision you all make, we're a team player, and we'll just go whatever the team say.
Well, I had some questions about the Littleton, because I know that some of that goes into Warren County.
Right.
And I think their request would be the largest
It would be the largest increase.
increase overall
Yes,
compared to the others.
Yes,
And I really like what, with the report that we received from Davie, that really shows how they plan to use the money. And I don't know, the 3 minutes last, it's just like, I'm unsure how they were planning to use that increase, how they validated that request.
Right.
One of your points being that I think they do plan to ask, I believe Chief Myrick at our April 15th meeting said they do plan to ask for the same increase from Warren County. And I believe he said they plan to pursue a rate increase with the town of Littleton as well.
That's exactly what he said.
That's right.
So, seems like it'd be across the board.
It wouldn't actually be a rate increase for Littleton.
Right, because they don't. really have a
Littleton
fire
doesn't
taxing district.
have a taxing district
Yeah.
for fire. It would be an increase in whatever revenue they
Right.
can get from them.
From their contribution.
Good point, clarification, okay.
Yeah.
So that was a good point. I think you'll see that the levy difference for Littleton would be $283,726. And of course, these numbers are approximate, knowing that we're still working on appeals and whatnot, but they're very close. Doris crunches the numbers on a regular basis.
Right.
I have
See-
a question for Dia. As we look at our
Ms.
total
Jones, you talking
budget,
to the mic?
I have it in front of me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What effect would that have on the totality of the budget?
So for the taxing districts, it would not affect the county's general fund budget.
Okay.
What it would affect are the citizens that live in those districts. So when you get your tax bill, you show your county tax, and then if you live in a municipality, that your fire tax, and then whatever school district you live in, that tax. It would only affect that one tax rate.
Yeah, I wanted that to be heard so everybody would know what we're doing here.
It's a good point. Okay, colleagues, what do y'all think? Any other discussion? That's a good point to bring out, Ms. Johnson, because I think that's important that comes out.
I could make one point if you
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to.
Go ahead.
Just to maybe foster some conversation, 4 years ago, when you had another revow, you didn't have this amount of rate changes requested. You did have the two at the bottom of your list for the two school taxing districts. I do remember 4 years ago, you allowed both of those districts to remain at their rates. So that would be consistent with the action you took 4 years ago.
Right.
The other ones, there's a lot of variation with the fire districts, and I don't have the ability, I don't have intimate knowledge of their individual budgets, so I cannot give you a lot of perspective on what they're requesting. But I can tell you about the school districts. This was a holdover from your budget work session. And so, not to put pressure on you, but when I present the budget on May 20th, these rates are part of the budget ordinance. So,
Yeah.
No pressure.
no pressure.
No pressure.
So we need a decision.
Need direction, yeah. Mhm.
Yes, I mean, you know, theoretically, you could kick it down the road again, but I would not be able to include it in my budget presentation on May 20th.
Let's not kick it.
Okay. Staff would appreciate that.
I'm looking at school tax districts. Change request says remain at the same. I'm fine with Halifax County and Weldon City remain with the same.
Okay.
That takes two of them out of the way.
Yes.
Right.
For me.
There's two.
You want to put that into a motion?
Yes, I do. I move that the tax and district request for Halifax County and Weldon City, the change requested remain the same. They stay at rate.
I second that.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Webb, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? And Madam Clerk, that's unanimous with the commissioners. Okay, now, we got to deal with the fire rate now, fire tax districts.
Let's go with the easy ones first.
I was gonna say this, can we do the
You-
same thing?
I will make a motion that we approve the Davy, Raysville, and Scotland Net request to remain at the current rate. If I understood you all correctly.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
I think the presentations from the prior meeting, and of course with the information we've gotten today, we all know that finding volunteers is difficult. More the fire departments are having to pay staff. And Mike, I appreciate you saying you didn't get a Cadillac, but you've got to have something in spite of what some people think. They wanted to know what giving a fire truck did for a community recently. And I'm thinking, where have you been? Your house could burn down, you could die in the fire. How about your insurance rates?
That's right.
So I think we've got to continue to support these volunteer agencies out here that are out here helping us every day.
Okay. Vice Chair Brewer,
Yes.
what is your motion again?
I move, now you've got me confused, Glenn.
Madam Clerk,
We
prob-
allow Davy, Raysville, and Scotland Neck's rate to remain at the current amount.
Okay, I could have had the clerk to repeat it. All right, is there a second to her motion?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, and that's unanimous, Madam Clerk, on that. All right, now we need to wrestle with the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm looking at five that says, implement revenue neutral. That's Arcola, Enfield, Halifax, Hosgood, and Tillman.
That's right, and if they requested revenue neutral, they did not have to appear, and there's no action needed.
So that's a motion, Mr. Webb?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion made by
Delete
Commissioner Webb. All right, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous as well, Madam Clerk. Okay, now. Down to three.
Littleton.
That is Littleton, well, actually it's Darlington, Littleton, and Will.
Right. And you know, of course, you know, when I mentioned that earlier, y'all, let's discuss it. You know, the current rate, you know, you're talking about the current rate versus the revenue neutral rate, which really they're supposed to be going to. And then, you know, those three ask for an increase. And, you know, an increase is, you know, could be very legit, but at the same time, I think that's above and beyond a little bit, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
I'm trying to recall the last meeting, and as we looked at the remaining fire districts, and some of them came up, and if I'm incorrect, stop me, but some of them came out with the population that they served.
Mm-hmm.
And some had a very low population of citizens that they served. So that should have an impact on what we're looking at right now.
Yes, ma'am, I would think so.
If I'm not mistaken, Reedsville, I think the request was their building was old, and there was a lot of needs to bring it up to par for safety issues and inspections and things like that.
I think that was actually Beth Darlington was the one who talked about the building being constructed
Yeah.
in 1950. And then Ray'sville, we do know they're soon to be on the board of adjustment to pursue a new station. Yes, ma'am.
But Reedsville,
They requested to stay the same.
right, and
Yeah,
we,
you can
and
say
we
the
voted, we
same.
voted on that.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
fine.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I looked at it
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, it's Darlington, Littleton,
Littleton,
and
and
Weldon are the
Weldon.
three
Right.
we're looking at.
That's right. And again, if you look at this chart, you'll see what that last column in yellow, you'll see what that requested difference would mean for that fire taxing district.
You say, if you look at what, say that again?
That last yellow column, so for instance, Darlington, their current rate is .836.
Gotcha.
Their revenue neutral is .075.
Uh-huh.
And their request was to go up slightly to .085. And if they did that, their levy difference would be roughly $10,000, $9,800.
Right. Well, you know, I'm going to make the motion that Darlington, Littleton, and Weldon remain at the current rate. And they're not being penalized because the commissioners could go to revenue neutral.
That's correct.
And, but I'm going to make the motion that we do that for those three. Okay, motion made by Commissioner Bryant, second by Commissioner Webb. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, Madam Clerk, that motion is unanimous that those three districts that I named stay at the current rate.
That was pretty tough.
It was pretty tough, Ms. Johnson. Okay, no, I tell you what, let's take a 10-minute break. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll come back at, now, commissioners, y'all always good about this. Let's come back at 5 minutes to 11. Item D, school system allotments. Our Deputy County Manager, Ms. Wells.
Hi again. I promise I'm done after this.
I don't believe you.
Okay, so as we shared with you at the April 15th meeting, this is where we would normally have presented this chart with our ADM numbers. DPI, as far as we know, unless it happened over the weekend, which we doubt.
Haven't checked today.
Right. Still has not shared the 24-25 projected ADMs for each school system. So, but what we've learned, we think that working off of the 23-24 numbers will actually work to every system's advantage. So these two charts that you'll see, as I noted at the top, are still based on the 23-24 ADM and charter school figures to be consistent. Okay, so you'll see a couple of things. I'm just going to point out highlights on the chart because the chart should be relatively familiar to you. So if you'll notice in black at the top, you'll see an asterisk that says 6,993 total population, including charter school population estimate. And of course, that always says to be certified by NCBPI. So you will notice going across the black area, Halifax County Schools with an ADM last year of 2,072 and a charter school population of 1,107 represented 45.46% of the 6,993. Okay, so that's how we calculate the percentage. Going across, you'll see that Roanoke Rapids with an ADM of 2,648 plus their 239 charter school population represented 41.28% of the total population. And then finally, Weldon City Schools with an ADM of 636 plus 291 in charter schools represented 13.26% of the total population. Okay? Those numbers are all clear? All right, going down, in the white lines, you'll see, so we take those percentages and multiply those against our figures to get our allotments. So our total local current expense appropriation, as Dia presented to you, we increased a bit this year to $5,400,000. We went up just a little bit, about $40-some thousand, thank you. So taking that figure and extrapolating it across, you'll see that that would mean $2,454,840 for Halifax County, $2,229,120 for Roanoke Rapids City, and $716,040 for Weldon City. And then our ABC profits estimate, the second line, you see $190,000. Not going to read all those figures, but we apply the same percentage, and that's how we get those numbers going across. And the fines and forfeitures estimate, the third line, at $150,000. Again, we apply those percentages, and that's how we get the figures going across. So then you'll see the total current expense appropriations. That's the three lines taken together, the 5.4 million, 190, and 150. So that's where you get the 5,740,000. And again, you get your totals for each system. And then you'll get the total budget request that they had made for the local current expense appropriation when they did their budget presentations with us back in March. So you get those figures and you get the difference. All right, so that's local current expense. And I'll say that for both charts that you have, that does not change. Okay, that's consistent on both. Now, the first chart that you should have in front of you is the way that we have always, I won't say always, in previous years that we have calculated capital outlay. And as you know, when we talk about capital budgets or capital outlay, that's more for equipment and maintenance and construction and whatnot on the actual school campuses. Okay? So I've highlighted across for you where we do apply the same percentages from the top. Our total capital outlay appropriation is $747,540. And then we apply the percentages from the top of total population, including the charter school on this chart. And you see the resulting numbers. Okay, that's the yellow highlighted area. Everybody with me?
Right.
Okay. And then the capital outlay, Article 44, that's the one that you choose whether you're going to spend it on economic development or schools. And you choose schools. And this year we chose to spend the same amount with each school system and also allot an amount for the Halifax Community College. Y'all remember that? Okay. So the $600,000 does not apply with the percentages, y'all decide to give that amount equally, so that's 200,000 for each system, okay? So then you get your total capital outlay appropriations, which are the yellow line and then the Article 44 line added together, okay? So that's the total amount for each system. You'll get their budget request for capital, and as you will see, there are significant capital needs across all three school systems. We know that. And that's one reason we're trying to do our best to allocate these funds. And you'll see in red, of course, the difference between the two. And then going down the line, you will see our debt service. You'll see the infield school debt service actually went down a little bit this year at $825,020. Last year was $844,190, and Mary told me that debt will be paid in full in 2026, which is acceptable. And then you have your Manning Elementary School debt service at roughly 1.2 million. You have your QSCAB for our Arkansas School District at $107,857. Your QSCAB for Wilton City Schools, $58,077, and then your total debt service amount. And then the final figure that we calculate for you, I know this is a lot of information on this first chart, but I only have to present one difference on the second. You'll see at the bottom is how your current expense per capita for each student has changed over the years. And I will make a note that we only use local current expense appropriation and ABC profits, those two figures to calculate this amount. So that you'll see for fiscal year 24-25, your current expense per capita has gone from roughly $792 to $799 per student. Now, I just made a note just for your edification that if we added in the fines and forfeitures money, your fiscal year 24-25 current expense per capita would be $820.82 per student. All right, any questions on this chart right now?
I have one question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Commissioner Johnson.
These numbers are based on what we assume. Well, not what we assume, but what it was
What it
in
was
previous
from last
years.
year. Yeah, the
Okay.
solid numbers that we had sort of.
And so my question is, if numbers come in, will this change or will we leave it as is?
The plan is to leave it as is that correct?
The amount appropriated, the 5.4 million for current expense and the amount for capital, that would not change. You all could decide what you would like to do once we do get those figures, if you want to make changes.
Okay.
So we'll certainly, when we do know it, we'll let you know, and then you can let us know if you want us to move forward with the changes.
Okay.
We're not anticipating those figures until possibly June.
I think best case scenario might be June. I know the General Assembly is taking up the Opportunity Scholarship additional funding likely sometime this month or so. And if they can make a determination, then they'll know which kids may end up going into your private schools and which ones may stay in your public schools or your charter schools. And at that point, DPI should have better numbers. For consistency purposes, we did look at all the different reports the school do. You know, they do the principal's monthly report and all those. Just for consistency purposes, we thought that just the allotted ADM figures that the state did for this current year would be the best to use at this point.
Okay.
Yes, some of our school systems have submitted a few months of current ADM and current charter school numbers. And when we looked at 23-24, these numbers were actually in their favor.
Okay, yeah.
These numbers definitely benefit the students. I do expect some decrease in your overall ADM.
Yep. All right, you ready for the second chart? It's not going to be as detailed.
Okay.
So we won't even have to discuss the top with local current expense appropriation. We already have that. I'm going to point out one change to you because it was brought to our attention during the budget meetings with the school systems this year that those capital outlay monies that are really for the equipment and the facilities and the maintenance on your campuses. It was proposed, could you consider allocating those funds based on ADM only, which would be your students physically located on those campuses, not factoring in the charter school population. And I'll just show you the difference. Okay. So as you'll see on the second chart, capital outlay says ADM only, not including charter school. So you'll also see that I put a different total population estimate. So all I did was subtract those charter school figures from the 6,993 to get the 5,356. Okay? So then, my chart wouldn't allow me to put it in percentages, I put it in decimals. But that changes your percentage of total population. So Halifax County Schools with ADM only is 38.69% of the total population of ADM only. Roanoke Rapids Schools, with the 2,648 is 49.44% of the 5,356. And Weldon City Schools with the 636 ADM is 11.87% of the total ADM only number of the 5,356. So your only difference will be, again, that yellow line, okay? And you'll see that the numbers change. So on your first chart, your capital outlay appropriation for Halifax County would be $339,832. In this formula, it changes to $289,223. For Roanoke Rapids, in the previous figure with charter and ADM, your capital outlay is $308,584. And your second calculation, ADM only, is $369,584. And then finally with Weldon, your capital outlay with including charter school is $99,124. If you change to ADM only, the figure then is $88,733. Those are the only differences between these two charts. Your current expense obviously did not change, so your per capita did not change. It's only capital outlay. But that is the section that we need direction.
Let me ask a question. So in both of these sheets, we are given the same amount per pupil regardless, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yes, the local current expense, yes, sir.
Okay,
And we do not factor capital outlay into how much you're spending per pupil,
yeah,
because that's facilities and maintenance.
Right.
Even though it factors into
Right.
educating children, we keep that separate.
okay. Okay, any other, I do have another one, but I'll hold it for right now. Any questions or comments from others? Okay, Attorney Rollins?
I think I say this every year to the board, and I say it for the public and certainly for the superintendents out there, is that you are aware that your capital outlay appropriation does not have to be per ADM. I know that's your policy and that's how you go, but by law, you can allocate capital outlay however you please. And that may help you with this discussion about whether you want to include charter school or not in the ADM percentages you're looking at.
That's a good point that Attorney Rollins makes, because you could choose when they present capital outlay, their capital needs fee, you could choose to base it on needs of projects that they have pending.
Okay, anything else from anyone? And I
Is
guess,
there-
go ahead, Ms.
excuse
Johnson,
me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is there any regulations for charter schools that say we have to include them?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you include them as to what? ADM?
ADM.
Local current expense or capital outlay?
All right, capital outlay.
No,
Okay, there's nothing.
no,
Okay,
no,
so we don't have to.
no, ma'am.
They're not gonna come back and,
Not yet. But every time the legislature meets, cross your fingers. That's all I can say.
It's a good question, yep.
The capital outlay, that would ensure, if we did include the charter schools, that would ensure that that money would stay here in our supported three-district schools versus, with the transition back and forth, there's an argument,
About the dollars following the
following
student,
the students.
that's with your local current expense.
Right.
The capital outlay is a separate,
Right. So
that's
we
what we're
would,
dealing with.
by eliminating the charter school for the capital outlay expense, we were ensuring that that money would stay
It does,
within our.
it stays on that, with the students on that campus, or campuses, as the case may be.
let me ask about process. I know that, I remember that, I don't know if it's still done the same way, that superintendents would come or the directors of maintenance would come and they would tell you what their needs are.
Yes,
Were the charter schools included in that discussion? Did they ever come, public schools?
The various campuses of the school within the school district.
Right.
And that is your responsibility. The counties currently, as Glenn said, the General Assembly could change it. The counties currently only have an obligation to fund capital needs at your local public schools.
Okay. That answers my question.
Okay, good.
Full of good questions
Yeah,
today.
good questions. I do notice in here, the two sheets, the difference, in my opinion. I see where, two of the school districts lose out a little bit of money in one game.
That's right, and that is simply because referring to your top chart, you'll see that the ADM number, the actual on-campus ADM for the room practice district.
Okay,
And then again, and that's really why we brought this to you, because it's just another way of looking at it.
okay.
So at the moment, if my math is correct from last night, we are currently funding one system that has 53.6% of their children in a charter school, which means they're not using the facilities. Okay. That's a pretty big difference for your
Well, it was
facilities money to be allocated that way when you're only serving 40 whatever percent of children in your facilities. And that's just something I'm pointing out.
This is the first year that I remember, of course, I've only been here for 4 budget cycles, but it's the first time I remember in our budget meetings it being pointed out that we could do it a different way.
Right.
Should you so choose to. So it's our job to bring it to you, and unfortunately, you have to make the decision. But we did want to bring that to you and make sure you had all the information that you need.
And the top sheet is the one that we always have been using, right?
Yes, sir, the one that says charter school figures, including charter school by capital outlay. That's the
Right.
one that we've always been calculating
Okay.
at least in company.
All right,
And your second sheet is your option.
okay.
But this is the first year that we haven't had an official ADM.
Exactly.
Right about that?
He's exactly right about that.
We have never not had ADM by now.
Never.
And
Never.
I'll be frank with you about that. I'm not entirely comfortable about what you're supposed to do
Okay.
by statute when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing the best we can with what we had from last year.
Right.
Like I said, the only fortunate thing we felt was by looking, so when we send out the budget request to the school, we get our numbers certified from DPI, which is usually no problem, usually available in March, and they have their projected ADM for fiscal year 24, 25. That didn't happen this year.
And the schools also don't have ADMs to work with. So you guys are working with
Right.
sort of blind, right?
And then to be consistent, we asked all of them to submit their invoices, because you know the schools have to submit invoices, to see what their charter school figures are in January, so that we use the same month across the board and are consistent. So the only comfort we have in using the fiscal year 23-24 numbers is that based on what we saw, we used both the ADM and the charter school numbers from last year. We didn't pull 23-24 ADM and then use 24-25 charter school, because that would have been consistent. We stayed consistent, and what it looked like was it truly benefited numbers-wise, slight
The
differences,
schools.
but it truly was to the benefit of all businesses.
Right. Okay, you've heard the discussion, and it's been good discussion. We can talk about it some more if you all want to, but do you want to make a decision about what we're gonna go with, sheet 1 or sheet 2?
We asked them to do some hard work today.
Yeah. And, you know, if you want to talk about it some more, we can. If someone want to make a motion, you can do that as well. But, you know, we got to get staff direction on this.
I'm just pointing out,
Okay?
make sure my thought process is correct. On the second chart sheet,
Yes, ma'am.
the first chart, actually, know we're saying that, say Halifax County School gets the 2,454,000.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about local current expenses, yes, ma'am.
But in actuality, if those 1,000 students go to a charter school, then that money, that's gonna go down for them, correct?
Well, that money that we factor in charter school students, those monies follow the student.
Right.
Right, so if the student goes to the charter school, the money follows the student. Supposedly, hopefully, if the student comes back to the school district, it has to be within a certain time frame, then those monies will come back. What is that time frame again?
We pay per month. So each month they submit a list of kids and then we pay them that month.
We verify the addresses,
Yeah.
make sure that they're in our district.
The only thing that doesn't come back is state and federal money that's up the front, like the state.
On the front
On the front end, that bigger chunk of money doesn't, but our local money comes just.
It's only $7,000 or $8,000 that we're gonna get if they come back to us.
Okay, good. Thank you for that.
How do you guys feel
Although I
about
have two
chart two?
superintendents behind us. Did that answer your question, Ms. Davis?
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments?
Okay, I
I'd
think,
like to hear what the district's needs are, what the school district's needs are.
Well, we could, Commissioner Davis, but, Halifax County is not here, and we got the other two districts that are here, and it would probably be unfair to Halifax County about them not being here, not being able to say anything. Plus, they have vetted that with our staff, about their needs and, But I mean, if you want to hear from the two superintendents out there, certainly, we can bring them up, but, they've already told our staff what their needs are.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
In a few words, what's the advantage of doing chart two?
Of doing chart two? Well, again, it's just a different approach. So then you're truly applying the capital, compared to the county, with our capital budget. All of those capital monies stay here to improve and maintain our facilities. Instead of, say, we were sending it off somewhere else to improve and maintain other facilities elsewhere. Or we were factoring in another county's needs, someone else's needs into our capital budget. So truly, staff has no preference. It is fully up to the board. But if you're looking at it, you're by using your ADM numbers only, your capital outlay dollars that are intended to improve the facilities and equipment of those campuses that are involved in the district, then you're using those figures and those percentages, and you're applying them consistently across the district.
And I would just piggyback on that and say the actual theory behind using ADM only is that for capital outlay, for improving buildings and equipment, you're basing it just on the number of students you actually have on your campuses, as opposed to including the charter students in that percentage.
Is that
Yeah. Now I'm ready to make a motion.
All right, unless there's some other discussion, we're gonna hear a motion from Commissioner Webb.
I move that we adopt the fiscal year 24 to 25 school system allotments, capital outlay with ADM only. That's the second chart.
Okay. All right,
I second that.
all right, motion made by Commissioner Webb, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor, sign say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, unanimous.
You guys did great. Thank you for
All
your
right.
patience.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Next thing, on the agenda, audit contract, fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. We'll hear from Ms. Duncan.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting here, baby laptop there, with the ghost on me. And I'm not bringing that tank with me. Anyway, what I came before you today is to ask for the approval of the fiscal year 24 audit contract with Malden and Jenkins. The quoted fee, $80,000, which is what we paid last year. And we haven't had this enacted prior to the beginning of the year. In the next few weeks, a little later presenting it to you this year, due to they had to have a peer review. And then peer review had to go to LGC, and so we'll finally just get it. That's my request of you today.
Okay. You've heard information coming from our money lady. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Amended grant project ordinance. Ms. Scott?
Good morning.
Morning.
You have in front of you a amended grant project ordinance for the Halifax County Industrial Shell Building. You will recall that Halifax County received a grant from Golden Lake in the amount of $27,000 and funding from Roanoke Cooperative in the amount of $9,700 to prepare preliminary plans and specifications for a 40,000 square foot shell industrial building on lot number 9 in Halifax.
Right.
And then also conduct specific site due diligence at the park. You adopted a project budget ordinance on March 4th for the project, and now that we have the procurement completed for these services, we're able to modify the grant project ordinance to be exact. So, you'll note that no change in the dollar amount, project still $36,700. We will just modify how that money's laid out. The plans and specs won't cost quite as much as we had originally budgeted, so we have $25,000 budgeted for that. And then the environmental site due diligence will be $11,700. So your approval is requested, or your consideration of adoption of the revised amended project budget ordinance is requested.
Okay, you've heard information coming from our Economic Development Director. What is your pleasure?
I move the amended grant project ordinance be approved as presented.
Motion by Vice Chair Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Item G, purchase of land by Welland City Schools. Yes, sir. The Honorable Attorney Rollins.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Shotwell for being here, and as I go through this presentation, if you have questions that he might answer, he's available for that, and I appreciate your presence here. Board, you'll recall a few weeks ago, we discussed an opportunity for Weldon City Schools to purchase some additional land for public school buildings. A bit related to the current construction process, but certainly not entirely. The heirs of W.D. and Kate Allen have been approached about purchasing some of the land that their parents owned over the years in that part of Weldon. Their intention and their desire was to sell only a larger tract than might be needed for the high school, middle school project. So negotiations began, and the school board attorneys, and I've worked with them somewhat on a contract, a real estate purchase contract. But finally, the negotiations between the school board attorneys and the attorney for the current owners reached agreement on a price of $4,000 per acre. It's been our, as we've discussed before, it's been our proposal to apply for lottery funds. I use that term loosely. I actually mean the Public School Building Capital Fund to acquire land, which you can use lottery funds to acquire land for public school buildings. In any event, we've reached a point where there's been an agreement on the purchase price. The school board, all of the owners have signed the contract. So it's ready to be signed by the school board on their behalf. That can't happen by law until you approve the purchase price for the property. So that's one reason we're before you today. The other reason we're before you is to also approve and authorize a co-application by the county and the school board for $140,000 to use to acquire this property, to pay the purchase price and the estimated cost of acquisition. If the cost of acquisition are less than the $140,000, then as usual with a project, the money would be returned back to DPI in the same allocation for Weldon City Schools for future capital uses. With that in mind, I've attached several things for you to consider, but the only thing for you to take action on is a proposed capital project ordinance. And if you have been able to take a look at that, you'll see that that covers actually several actions. One, your approval of the purchase price. Two, your approval to apply for the lottery funds. And then third, finally, to adopt the capital project ordinance, which would allocate the money from the Public School Building Capital Fund to the purchase of the property and the acquisition cost. If you have questions, I'd be glad to answer those. If there are questions I can't answer, then perhaps Dr. Shotwell can help us with that. But that is essentially where we are now. We all stand ready to move forward, just pending your approval today.
Attorney Rollins, the only thing that you need from us is the adoption of the capital project ordinance.
As written, yes, sir.
Right, that's the only, okay. All
That
right.
covers all the bases.
Everything,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
all right. Any questions or comments to Attorney Rollins or Dr. Shotwell from Weldon City School? Appreciate them being here. Okay, if not, I'll still entertain a motion because I know we're ready to get this going.
Motion to approve the capital project ordinance.
Motion made by Commissioner Webb, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, Madam Clerk, it's unanimous. And also, I want to put a footnote, Attorney Rollins, thank you for all your hard work with that. I know it has not been easy, and you've been dealing with this for quite some time, but thank you so much. Okay. Next thing is board appointments. We'll turn our attention to board appointments. I think that's where we are, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first one is Halifax County Council on Aging received nominations to appoint Glenda Evans to replace Gladys Walden. Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm operating with my book, and my page is sticking together. Okay, Community Child Protection Team. Received nominations to appoint individuals to replace Christian Scott and Kevin Kupas. I guess we'll just hold it open, right? Okay. All right, Halifax County Council on Aging received nominations to appoint Glenda Evans to replace Gladys Walden.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Johnson, second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Roanoke Rapids Board of Adjustments next. Okay. Received nominations to reappoint Virginia Lewis.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Received nominations to waive the term limit and reappoint Gregory Browning.
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, Well and Board of Adjustment. Is that, huh?
We do the Runner Graphics Planning Board.
That page,
The Runner Graphics Board of Adjustment, and then you should have.
Planning Board, okay. I do have Ron Kravitz Planning Board, I'm sorry. Receive nominations to waive the term limit and reappoint Gregory Browning.
We just did that, didn't we?
No, we did for Ron
Rona
Kravitz. Yeah, this is for Ron
So
Kravitz.
moved then.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Is Well and Board of Adjustments next?
Yes.
Okay, receive nominations to waive the term limit and reappoint Rose Motley.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis, second by Commissioner Smith. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Well and Planning Board? Okay, receive nominations to reappoint Julian Sharon Jr.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, receive nominations to waive the term limit and reappoint Deborah Williams. Motion made by Vice Chair Brewer, second by Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, and as you all can see, we do still have some boards with vacancies, doing a pretty good job of getting them all filled, but we still have a few there, as you can see from the attachments. Okay. Next item, I believe that's it, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's why you're the Clerk of the Year for North Carolina. Is our Economic Development Report. We're here for Ms. Scott.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It may be off, I heard it beep.
Just hit that home button.
There it goes.
I need some warm up just a bit, sorry. Technology.
There it is.
It's coming.
Just coming.
Good, good, good. Waking up. Anyway, good morning again.
Morning.
Morning.
Happy to give you our recent update on our economic activities of Halifax County. Point out our economic indicators, our unemployment rate just came out last week, is 5.1%. That compares to 5.2% a year ago, and represents just over 1,000 people, 1,000 people unemployed in Halifax County. Our building permits were just over 3 million, we're down from March a year ago. Everything is project generated, so you may have more projects going on than others, so not concerned about that. Our retail sales are on par with last year, just a little bit less in January and February, about $1 million less each month over last year, but still very robust and above average. Just wanted to, here's a picture of the 250th event last month. Just wanted to thank you, the commissioners, for your vision in creating a commission and moving, having a kickoff event. There's so many people that were critical in making everything that happened that weekend a success. And some of you in the room, Larry Perkins this year, you as a board, the commission, tourism did such a tremendous job, and there's just a lot of outstanding leadership and collaboration. Can't wait to 2025. I've had the honor to participate with several of you, commissioners, for the Bishop Cheek Highway dedication. I'm telling you what a group that was present at that event. There was like over 300 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to know the family and helping them with the dedication paperwork. I did play such a small role in that, but what a wonderful family. It's really grateful to be a part of it. Quick few project updates. Stella Jones, they're building at the former GP site, as you know. The Rural Infrastructure Authority did approve funding. You all passed a resolution supporting funding for this project at your March meeting. But they approved $125,185 for water line relocation needed for their rail spur. So we'll be coming back to you with approval for an application. Roseburg, production is ongoing at the Roseburg lumber facility. Their gas line is near completion. It will be finished this month. What started as a no-cost extension for them ended up costing them over $4.3 million, and this is costing them out of their pocket. So easement costs, route changes, increased the company's direct cost to $2 million. So we met with the Secretary of Commerce in April. There's a little-known fund called the North Carolina Expanded Gas Products Service to Agriculture Fund, and it looks like we're going to be able to get some funding through that for Roseburg to help them offset some of the unexpected costs that they have. I'm really pleased about that, and we'll keep you posted on what that final amount is. The new owners of the former West Point Stevens property, they visited last month, brought people to look at co-location opportunities. I spoke at the North Carolina Brownfields Conference last week in Durham. Really great opportunity to tell the story about the West Point Stevens redevelopment and hopefully what's to come for the future. You may have noticed that Oasis, there's a lot of construction going on. There's some Tesla charging stations that are under construction. I think it's going to be about 40 there, so that will become a hub for charging for sure. And then Molina Chemical expansion in Enfield. The Fairfield by Marriott construction continues. You can actually tell it's going to be a hotel there now. Heaton has got their product building components on site, but haven't really started vertical construction at the Halifax Industrial Center. The Reddick Steakhouse is open, and I hear it is wonderful. So look forward to an opportunity to get there soon. The signs up on the Timber Waters Brewery, the much anticipated. We'll all get to go there sometime in the future. And then you all passed an updated project budget ordinance, but wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the Golden Lake shell building pilot program. We did do the procurement required for this project, and we selected Mid-Atlantic Associates to do the phase 1 update, a company called JMT to do the cultural resources and wetlands verification for the properties, and A.R. Chesson. He is completing the preliminary building design. And we'll actually have a call this week, and then we're going to assemble the team to go through and review the building plans when we get the final draft. And then if we intend to apply, those applications are going to be due in June. We had an opportunity to meet with DOT rail officials. They traveled in Halifax County in early April. That Weldon Passenger Rail Project is now focused on corridors that the state has identified. So more so than just the north-south access full rail, they're looking at a Raleigh to Weldon corridor. And so that's really good for us because that becomes more of an intercity rail opportunity for us. And so the good news for us is that this project is no longer connected to bridge repair. They feel like that they can give us that north-south access without having to repair that bridge as a second lane of traffic, so to speak, for the train. And they intend to look at this location as a hub location, which means this throughway bus service in connection with the passenger rail service. So they are putting this project on a feasibility study schedule, and they're looking at early 2025 for that feasibility study to be completed. I personally am very excited about this. Unfortunately, it's not coming quickly, but to be, you know, in the purview of NCDOT, now this inner city passenger rail opportunity is certainly a plus for Halifax County. When Squeaky Wheel gets a little grease, and we need to start speaking up. So I'm gonna be talking with our media about doing some, maybe in-depth looking at this and working with DOT to kind of get that message out so we remain on their priority list. Infrastructure to, infill to exit I-95. We've been working to build a funding stream for this, and we've been very successful in getting a portion of the funds. We're about $1.9 million short, so we're working to identify some opportunities for those shortfalls, and I've been meeting with the infill town board at their June meeting to talk about this. And our goal is to start looking at applying for funding in the fall. Our Air Boss Access Road, I've talked with you all about that before. Again, this is a $1.6 million project. Right now, we've got a $320,000 gap in funding. DOT has agreed to put in $320,000, and EDA, the Economic Development Administration, is willing to put in $960,000. So we'll be working hopefully this month to close the gap on that. Product update, just a couple things I want to bring your attention to. We're waiting our final decision on our select site. Our companies in this area tremendously need warehouse space. If you're aware of any warehouse opportunities that become available, let me know. You know, the mall seems to me to be, the former mall, an opportunity for warehousing, but it's just not clicking. There's work that has to be done, and the owner just seems to want to lease it as it is. We're going to have to reschedule our road shows, so we'll be working on that this week, and working with the Halifax Community College, set up a manufacturers roundtable. We had tremendous good month for client activity, and hopefully get some visits in May from our inquiries that we responded to. The North Carolina Business Magazine is doing their 2024 Small Business of the Year. We'll be nominating Weldon Mills Distillery. They meet the criteria for that nomination, so we'll keep you posted on that. And then, just so you know, this week is Economic Development Week. So have you found your economic developer?
You're going to tell me you didn't have a proclamation or resolution?
Our goal is we're collaborators, and we try to bring opportunities to our communities, and I think you know what we do. Just remember, if you see an economic development, and tomorrow we're working with the airport, hosting a business leaders luncheon. I'm really excited about the turnout we're going to have there. So hopefully you all are going to be there, but it's a way to showcase the airport to our business leaders, and look forward to that, and we'll see you there tomorrow.
Okay.
Any questions?
Happy Economic Development Week. Yeah. You know, do want to thank Kath for all her hard work. Many of you, some of you may not know that she also serves as the executive director for the Halifax County Horizons, and she does a great job with that. And I mean, Kath is almost a one-person show. She's got an administrative assistant, but she's almost one person. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you, Kath, for all that you do. Okay.
And I don't have anything for closed session. I just wanted to.
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. That also triggered me. Attorney Rollins, he had to go over to the hospital. His wife is in the emergency room. Just want you all to know that. So let's keep Attorney Rollins in our thoughts and prayers as well, and his family, his wife, Phyllis. Okay, we're going to hear from our county manager at this time. Hard-working county manager, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, and to everyone. That's very upsetting news. So just in case I forget, we did have a few matters in closed session that are legal in nature. I think I can probably cover them with the help of staff, so we'll
Right.
try to do that
Okay.
in closed session.
And whichever staff you need in closed session, just identify them.
I
know you
will. I will. With that said, we've asked a lot of you today, so thank you for considering those very complicated matters. It allows us to put the final touches on our budget that I get to present to you on May 20th, so we really appreciate that. The only item I had is really for your discussion, and I will turn y'all loose in just a minute, but I wanted to give you just a little bit of background and some information if you'd like to consider regarding Parks and Recreation. I attached it's a 10-year recreation master plan. It's from 2014 to 2024. It's quite lengthy, but if you do look at the executive summary, that's pretty helpful. It's a nice overview of the whole plan. To add to that, this was a very comprehensive and lengthy process that we went through really in 2013 to get the plan adopted in 2014. That we had community meetings all over the county. We had to divide and conquer a little bit, but we went to all the areas of the county, incorporated and unincorporated areas. We did surveys. I think we had over 600 surveys returned on what the citizens are looking for when you talk about recreation. And recreation can really mean a lot of different things. Some people think it means ball fields, but it might mean, honing in on your natural resources and the natural amenities that your locations have to offer. And then there's an inventory of those options. I wanted to point out that using a master plan is a really major component when you apply for grants, particularly PARTIF. And we have a massive PARTIF grant application submitted last week through Cooperative Extension, and PARTIF stands for Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. And that's for some work out at 4-H, which essentially we would like to turn into a district park. The current master plan has been available and has been used by some municipalities in applying for grants, but it's available to all the municipalities. And as I mentioned in your budget work session, we do have a position underneath Cooperative Extension that we have budgeted to be reclassified from a 4-H assistant to a full 4-H agent position. This will be in cooperation with NC State, but it would focus on recreational programming in the county. Final thing is, as you can see, the master plan is really expiring this year, for lack of a better description. We do have $50,000 included in the proposed budget to begin a new process, and we would likely go through a very similar process to come up with I would assume, another 10-year master plan. So I just wanted to put that out there just for your information, and then I'm happy to take questions, or you all are welcome to discuss it however you would like to proceed.
I do want to point out that Beth, raise your hand. Everybody has to
Yes,
know
sir.
you. Beth has a lot to do with what she was talking about with Parks and Rec, and even this position, Beth is, I hate to use the word sacrificing a little bit, but she is, in order to make this thing happen with Parks and Recs, with a 4-H position. So, Beth, thank you so much for that. Okay, with that being said, we can talk about the plan ever how you all want to talk about it, but you can, Ms. Denton did advise that the plan, in like words, expires this year, and we have to, work on it for another 10. So it's open for discussion.
So when do you start working on it?
If this is approved with the budget adoption, shortly after July 1. And that would give us time. We would likely have to reach out and get another consultant to help us put it together. It's a lengthy, detailed process, and I wanted you all to see that, especially the newer commissioners. So it would take a while, but after July 1, once we have funding in place.
In the plan that expires, were you able to accomplish many of your goals that you established?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll tell you, staff help me if I forget anything. There's been a lot of grants that have been applied for throughout the county. Particularly, we've done some work out at 4-H. And then at Medoc Mountain State Park in Hollister, we are one of the fortunate counties to have a state park in our county. They also put up a playground. And it's the only playground at a state park in North Carolina. So, and I was just out there a few weeks ago, walking through.
beautiful playground
It is
out there.
Really is.
beautiful. The playground is absolutely stunning. There's been such an emphasis on recreation the last, especially 10 years. So you can't give credit to the plan itself, but it's fostered conversations and awareness. You now have the accessible playground in Scotland Neck. So you have that end of the county with something new. You have something new in Hollister at Meetup Mountain. And then you have some upgraded amenities at 4-H to include a pier out at the back of the property. I think I took a bunch of y'all out there at Harvest Days. The pier is now done for fishing, and we stocked the pond. And the pond, if you remember, actually addressed a drainage issue. So it really accomplished two goals. One, to address a drainage issue, and second, to add just another amenity to that piece of property.
I think you're correct. I think that when people cite recreation, they're looking at basketball, and I think our expand has to, I think that our plan has to expand beyond that. There's so many other options
There are, and
and
not.
definitions of recreation.
Right, and so being in a very rural, very large county, we are fortunate to have Meetup Mountain State Park. We have the Roanoke River. There have been another kayak and canoe put in Weldon. Mr. Smith, they are working on one for the lower part of the river. I needed to mention that to you.
Thank you.
To be able to paddle from Gaston to Weldon to hopefully Halifax down to Scotland Neck and on down the river. So you have that. You do, and there is quite, there's a lot of conversation, I think, about ball fields and those opportunities. You do have some of those, but you also have to remember what your population is. And the amount, if you can justify building and maintaining fields like that with the number of kids that you do have. That's a hard conversation, but I think it's a reality.
My question would be, I'm looking at I think it's page 45, it talks about many parks and neighborhood parks. And then it talks, which are very small. But it doesn't give, I guess, what I'm looking for, what should be included in those parks. Would that be something like a walking trail, something like that?
It could be a number of different things, and what the new plan would address is it would update the inventory that we do have.
Okay.
So you do have walking trails in various areas. We have one out at DSS, for example, and there's one at the community college. That's one thing that the plan should address, is the things that you have now that you didn't have 10 years ago.
So let's just take, for instance, the Hollister area. We talk about Meetup Mountain, but I'm talking about specifically in the heart of Hollister. Let's say a walking trail or something of that nature. So we would need to address that after July 1st, and you start your work. New 10-year plan, correct?
What I would recommend is that you allow the process to naturally develop.
Okay.
And if that comes out in your various outreach to the community, surveys, community meetings. And what you can do is you can do those things in partnership with other organizations.
Okay.
Meaning, the county doesn't own any other property, but there could be an organization or an individual who may want to donate some land for something like that.
Okay.
So those are conversations you would have to have if that's an identified need that the citizens want addressed.
And there were 2 walking trails, 3, I guess, if you include Meetup, in Hollister. At the library in Hollister, there is a walking trail. And Reverend Johnson at Reach had a walking trail.
Yes, he did.
And it's still there, I guess, but after he died, someone else took over as director. And I haven't been out there because I use the school as my walking trail. But in addition to what Commissioner Webb said, as we look at the smaller playgrounds, Halifax County Schools has helped in that area.
They have.
They put equipment out there for little children. They put, they've done a lot of things, fences around so they're fenced in. So as we look at the new plan, we might want to look at partnering with the schools. And partnering with the schools, that gives us the advantage of having additional acreage.
Those have been conversations to partner with your schools because they have, most of the time, they do have playgrounds
Yeah.
already there. And with the new project happening in the Hollister area with the new school at Eastman, you could potentially identify even a
Yeah.
walking area at that site as well. So there's a lot of opportunity.
And about with the new school opening, what's going to happen to Hollister Elementary?
Exactly.
And that's been a vital part of the community for years, and so I feel like this would be, if we could look how we could improve the recreational activity and opportunities there in the Hollister, that would benefit the community as well. So if we could work that into that plan, and I like the idea of going to the different communities and seeing what they need. Because, you know, I don't live in Scotland Neck, and so what I may think may not be what the citizens need from there, but I do like that part of going there.
That school in Hollister is really a tremendous opportunity
And I
with
think it's
opening the new
fairly well
school.
kept. Looking at all the other schools is in a pretty good condition considering its age and things like that. So, and again, it's almost like the center of the community as well.
I would agree with
too.
that, yeah.
Let's change the conversation a little bit. As we talk about Hollister School and the fact that they will be moving to the new Eastman, whatever that name's gonna be. As we look at that, when the discussion comes about what will happen to that vacated building, does that discussion, I know this discussion goes to the school board first. And after it goes to the school board, then if they don't have a decision, then it comes, okay,
You know, Ms. Jones, we're gonna have another school to deal with too, and that's Welland Elementary School.
well in elementary.
Or Welland Middle School, whatever that school is over by social
Weldon Middle.
services. Yeah. And, yeah. You know, when they do the new middle high school, you know, that's gonna be another school that's gonna come up.
And that's actually an opportunity if the county were to get that piece of property, that's a nice piece of property.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Just put that out there.
It is a nice piece of property, even though
And
they.
it's close to,
Yeah, even though they got a few
Yeah.
things, but we can correct that.
you're in the swamp. I mean, what do you do? No, we have looked at that school and what opportunity selfishly that the county could benefit from having the property and the facility.
Exactly right.
So there's a lot of potential there.
Well, hopefully, we won't be like Andrew Jackson's school. You know, they're just,
How do they do it in church or wherever? Moving on?
Moving on.
Moving on.
moving on.
That's a good part of it, Ms. Johnson, but I tell you, that's another story.
Another school.
Yep, okay. Does that conclude your report, Ms. Denton?
Yes, sir, unless you have questions about that.
Okay, all right. No, I think it's good. I'm gonna try to keep my little bit of this and read it.
It's good reading.
Yep, very good reading.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Okay, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. At this time, of course, Attorney Rollins, as I told you, had to leave very quickly. But we'll move on to other business. I believe when we get ready to go into closed session, I believe Ms. Denton and some of the staff would try to address some of the things that Attorney Rollins had planned to address in closed session. You have a resolution honoring Halifax County Centenarian Marjorie Wheeler Holiday. And anyway, she turned 100. And we did present something to her in reference to that. I think it was in your packet of information. Do you have any questions or comments about it? If not, I'll also entertain a motion for your approval. Her son picked it up.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Davis, is there a second? Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? There may have been another letter at our place, I believe, here it is. Mrs. Ernestine McWilliams Bowser before you. And anyway, she turned 99 on yesterday. And we're doing this letter, subject to your approval, and in a frame, very nice frame, as you all know. And I'm going to present that to her after this meeting.
Okay.
Because I'm a day late. She probably gonna fuss me out. But her niece had asked us to do this, so that's why we're doing it. She lives in Roanoke Rapids, which is not
So
too
move
far.
for approval, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Brewer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Do you all have anything else on the other business before I ask for a motion to go into closed session? Okay, hearing none, we got to go in closed session, I know, to approve minutes, closed session minutes, and Ms. Denton?
Three legal matters that I will try to cover with the help of staff.
Okay, and who are your staff?
Management team, Michelle, and Ms. Hawkins.
Okay, got you. All right, anything else, commissioners, or anyone? That's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion to go into closed session to do that.
So move. Go in closed session for personnel.